Is Kyle Pitts about to become the biggest bust in Atlanta Falcons history? Or are we watching one of the most talented tight ends in the NFL get criminally undervalued by his own organization? The Kyle Pitts situation in Atlanta has reached a boiling point that nobody saw coming 3 years ago. Remember when this guy was supposed to revolutionize the tight end position? When he was breaking rookie records and looking like the next generational talent at his position? Well, fast forward to today, and we're talking about a player whose future with the team that drafted him 4th overall is suddenly looking shakier than a house of cards in a hurricane. Here's what we know for certain. Pitts is entering the 2025 season on his 5th-year option worth $10, $88 million. And according to D. Orlando Ledbetter from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, there are absolutely zero rumors about a contract extension. Zero. That's not just concerning. That's downright alarming for a player who is supposed to be the cornerstone of this franchise's offensive future. But here's where the story gets complicated, because the numbers tell a tale that doesn't quite match the narrative. Despite all the criticism and speculation about his declining production, Pitts remains one of only 5 tight ends in the entire league, alongside Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Sam Laporta, and Trey McBride, to surpass 600 receiving yards in each of the past 2 seasons. That's elite company. Folks, that's not the resume of a player who's fallen off a cliff. So why the disconnect? Why is a player with that kind of consistent production suddenly finding himself in contract limbo with a team that invested so heavily in him? The answer lies in expectations versus reality, and it's a story that's become all too familiar in today's NFL. When you draft a tight end 4th overall, you're not just expecting good production. You're expecting transcendent, game-changing, redefine-the-position-type impact. Pitts delivered that in his rookie season with 1,026 receiving yards, but then reality hit hard. That devastating MCL injury in 2022 didn't just sideline Pitts physically. It seems to have derailed the entire trajectory of his career in Atlanta. Injuries have a way of changing everything, not just for the player, but for how the organization views their long-term investment. Suddenly, that sure thing becomes a question mark, and question marks make front offices nervous. But here's what's really frustrating about this whole situation. How much of Pitt's perceived decline is actually his fault versus the chaos that surrounded him. Think about the quarterback carousel this guy has had to deal with. Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, and an injured Kirk Cousins who was clearly not at full strength. That's not exactly a murderer's row of passers who can maximize a tight end potential. And let's talk about the coaching changes. Zach Robinson wasn't here during Pitt's dominant rookie campaign. Neither was Raheem Morris. These guys are looking at film and stats without the context of seeing what Pitts can do when everything's clicking. They're evaluating a player based on his performance in a system that might not have been designed to maximize his unique skill set. This is where the business side of football gets really ugly. Jordan Schultz reported earlier this offseason that multiple teams have already reached out to the Falcons about Pitt's availability. Multiple teams. That means other organizations around the league see value that Atlanta might be overlooking. The Falcons are reportedly asking for at least a second-day draft pick to start serious conversations, which honestly seems like they're selling low on a player with his pedigree. But here's the thing that makes this situation even more complex. Atlanta can't really afford to trade him right now. Grayson Freestone from blogging Dirty hit the nail on the head when he wrote, "Kyle Pitts is someone the Falcons cannot replace in 2025. They don't have any aerial threats without him, and there are no options on the market to take his place." That's the brutal reality of the situation. The Falcons might have concerns about Pitt's long-term value, but they're also painted into a corner because their offense would be significantly worse without him. It's like being unhappy with your car, but knowing you can't afford a replacement. You're stuck making it work whether you like it or not. Enter Michael Penix Jr., the second-year quarterback who's about to take over as a starter. This might be the most important factor in determining Pitt's future in Atlanta. Penix represents a fresh start, a clean slate, and potentially the kind of quarterback who can unlock Pitt's full potential again. Think about it from Penix's perspective. He's a young quarterback who needs reliable targets he can trust. Pitts, despite all the criticism, has proven he can be exactly that kind of safety valve. His size, route running ability, and hands make him the perfect security blanket for a developing passer. If these two can develop chemistry early in the season, it could change everything for both of their careers. The timing of this relationship couldn't be more crucial. Pitts is essentially playing for his future in Atlanta this season. Every catch, every yard, every touchdown becomes a statement about his value to the organization. Meanwhile, Penix is trying to prove he belongs as a starting quarterback in this league. Their success stories are completely intertwined. If Pitts can recapture even a portion of his rookie year magic with Penix under center, the Falcons would be foolish not to lock him up long term. The franchise tag for tight ends was $13, $8 million in 2024, and for a player who will still only be 25 years old, that's not an unreasonable investment for proven production. But if the chemistry doesn't click, if the production continues to be merely good instead of great, then Atlanta might decide to cut their losses and move on. That would be a devastating outcome for a player who came into the league with such high expectations and seemed destined for superstardom. The irony in all of this is that Pitts might actually be better than we think he is right now. Sometimes great players get lost in bad situations, and it takes a change of scenery or circumstances to remind everyone why they were special in the first place. The question is whether that revelation will happen in Atlanta or somewhere else. This season is going to tell us everything we need to know about Kyle Pitts' future. Can he recapture the magic that made him such a coveted prospect? Can he develop the kind of chemistry with Michael Penix Jr. that makes the Falcons realize what they have? Or will this be the season that confirms he's destined for a fresh start elsewhere? The ball is literally in Pitts' hands, and the clock is ticking. What do you think happens next? Does he prove he's still the game-changing tight and Atlanta thought they were getting? Or is this the beginning of the end of his time in the red and black? Drop your predictions in the comments and smash that like button if you think Kyle Pitts is about to have a bounce-back season that reminds everyone why he was drafted so high.